Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we are comparing the Orange OR30 to the Orange OR15. They both have a similar name, right? OR. They look kind of similar, but they do sound quite different. So it's going to be a lot of fun and interesting to compare the two and see how they differ. Now, of course, the OR15 is a more affordable amplifier made in Asia. It's a 15-watt amplifier with two EL84s in the power section. Single channel amplifier. We have an on and off switch, two wattage modes, so 15 watt and 7 watts. Then we have a volume control, 3-band EQ, and a gain control. That's it. I've done plenty of videos with this amplifier. It's cute, and I love it a lot. It's the one that I played in the beginning. Now, then there is the OR30, which came out 2 years ago. I recently did a full in-depth review of this amplifier on the channel. Check it out if you're interested. It's a really cool amplifier. 30 watts, obviously, has 4 EL84s in the power section. Made in the UK, sounds absolutely massive. So it definitely has more headroom and oomph than the little guy over here. So that's a main difference that I can't really demonstrate in this video. So obviously the 15 watt will be less loud, and the OR30 is going to be really loud. It's very heavy and chunky, so it has some big transformers in there. So even though it's just 30 watts, trust me, this thing can go really loud. Similar layout. They both have the hieroglyphs instead of like having numbers and words, which is cool. It's a little touch that I enjoy. So this amp also is a single channel amplifier. It doesn't have a wattage selector, but on the back, it does have a bedroom switch, which can lower the wattage quite drastically. And then in terms of the layout, we start out with a presence control, a cross-line presence control, which works well on any level, basically. Then a foot switchable master volume control, which is good for solos and stuff. Your master volume, 3-band EQ, and a gain control. And then a 3-way bright switch as well, which this one does not have. So this one has a bit more tone shaping options, okay? In terms of the signal chain, I'm holding my Infinia Guitars series, wonderful guitar. That's going into my pedal board. I'm not showing you my pedal board in this video because I'm not going to do a lot with it. From the pedal board, we are going into the KHE 4x12 cab amp switcher, which is absolutely awesome. Also did a full review on that on the channel recently. And I'm using that to switch between the amplifiers, of course. And then the switcher is going into my Grossmann Fatbox 1x12 ISO cab, in which I've loaded up my Celestion V30, mic'd up with 3 mics, 2 SM57s and 1 MD421 Kompakt. That is sent into the DAW, and that's it. So that's the signal chain. Sounds complicated. It's not really complicated. 2 amps going into a V30, mic'd up with some mics. We have an amp switcher. We have a cool guitar, and that's it, okay? So, what you heard in the intro is the OR15, and I have a high gain tone dialed in for both of them. Let's, again, start with the OR15 and take a listen to how that sounds. So that's a nice and satisfying and very rich, typical Orange high gain tone. A little bit sizzly up top, a little bit loose in the bottom end, and a lot of mid-range. So these sit in the mix really nicely. Plenty of gain on tap. I mean, there's even more gain on tap here, but I really like how this amplifier sounds. It's supposed to be similar to the preamp of a rock reverb. And I believe that the Jim Root Terror is also quite similar to this amplifier in terms of the PCB and stuff. So you can go from clean to mean with this amplifier, even though it's a single channel amplifier. But as you will notice, it's quite different than the OR30. So check this out. Let's switch to the OR30. I also have a high gain-ish tone dialed in there. OR15. OR30. Notice how this one sounds so much more mean and chuggy. So let's switch again between the two with a simple chug. So OR30. So immediately the OR15 is a bit more mid-humpy, right? Less chuggy and a bit less scooped. And the OR30 is more mean, massive and scooped sounding. So let's switch again. OR15 and OR30. I think they both sound great, but there definitely is a difference. Yeah, OR30 is just more massive sounding and definitely a bit more scooped, whereas the OR15 has a bit more mid-humpy and a bit more of a gentle sound, if you will. We can try to dial them in to sound a bit closer, even though I will never be able to dial them in to sound identical. But what we could do, for example, is add some mids on the OR30, tone down the bass a little bit, and then scoop the OR15 a little bit. Let's see if I can do that. So let's start by tweaking the OR30. I'm going to lower the bass, even though the bass is already set at, let's say, 11 o'clock. Mids are turned up a bit, let's say 2 o'clock. Let's make that even more extreme, right? And add a little bit more gain as well. Oh, this is the OR15, by the way, so I'm going to switch to the 30. And I mean, I love both, but this has just such a satisfying and huge chug, right? Really cool. So let's add a little bit more gain, lower the bass a bit, and add more mids. Let's see what that does. Very nice. I'm going to add even a little bit more gain. Now, I do have the bright switch set to the right position, which is the most extreme setting. With this amount of gain, you're not really going to notice a huge difference, but let's try the different positions. I prefer it to the right because it's the brightest, which especially is beautiful for cleans. But let's try the middle position, which is the darkest. And then the left position. That is sort of a little bit of a treble boost, but quite subtle. So that's to the left, to the middle, and to the right. Let's focus just on the lower chugs. So this is again to the right, to the middle, and to the left. So there's a subtle difference, right? Let's stick to the setting on the left right here. So I'm going to stick to that because it seems a little bit more warm. Now let's switch back to the OR15. Yeah, so the low end is definitely less chuggy. So let's add some low end there, and let's lower the mids a little bit. Let's see what that does. And back to the OR30. Yeah, so I can go crazy with the low end on the 15 and bump it up a lot. Let's try that just for fun. And let's add a little bit of treble as well. It's adding a little bit of chunk there, but it's never going to make it sound like the 30, which is this amp. I am noticing that the 15 has more saturation, so it seems to have a bit more gain on tap. Let's raise the gain on the 30. And back to the 15. Cool. Maybe there's a bit more sizzle on the 15. So what we can do is, if we go back to the 30, is add a little bit of presence to add a little bit of top there. And let me lower the level a little bit to compensate. The volume control is a little bit touchy on the 30. So this is what we have now on the 30. And the 15. And back to the 30. Man, I think they both sound great, but there's a pretty massive difference, if you ask me. Let's do one more high gain riff. Again, the 30. And the 15. So yeah. Cute, tiny, low wattage, plenty of gain on tap, more mid-humpy, very suitable for a mix, more gentle sounding for sure. And the 30 is more massive sounding, more headroom, and more tweakability. So you're going to pay more for the OR30, obviously, because it's more expensive, made in the UK versus made in Asia. But you're going to get more for your money, you know, more power. So before we do a clean tone, let's try it with a boost pedal and see how they both react to a boost pedal. I'm going to use one of my favorite boosts, which is the Zuda Triax. So this is the OR15 with the boost on, boost off, and on. Yeah, that's quite aggressive. I'm going to do a couple chugs and then switch to the OR30, and let's see what that does, okay? Now I feel that the OR30 is a little bit lacking in the lows, so let's add a little bit of low end. And back to the 15. Yeah, I think the 15 has a bit more saturation even. So let's raise the gain on the 30 even more. So the response on the 30 is definitely more tight and immediate. With the boost, I think that the 15 has a very pleasant low end. So again, this is the 30 with the boost. And the 15. The 30 is a little bit more quiet. Let me try to balance that out for you. And 15. Yeah, so also with the boost, it's fair to say that the 15 is a little bit more boxy sounding, but that's not a bad thing per se. It's just a different flavor, right? So yeah, very definitive, right? In terms of what the differences are, if you ask me. Now, let's do a clean tone. And let's start by dialing down the gain on the 15 to get a nice clean tone, maybe with a little bit of breakup. So this is the 15, I have the boost off. I'm on my neck pickup. So I've lowered the gain quite a bit and raised the level to compensate. So let's say that I'm at around 9 o'clock for the gain control. And for the EQ, yeah, I'm going to stick to noon-ish, leave the bass up a bit, and the treble at, let's say, between 1 and 2 o'clock. All right, so that's a nice, sparkly clean tone, if you ask me. Plenty of mids too, right? So let's scoop the mids a little bit. Now let's go to the OR30 and do the same thing. Let's see what happens. And let's dial down the gain. So yeah, that lowered the level quite a bit. Okay, so I'm gonna dial down the mids a little bit. I added some bass here. So bass is at 1 or 2 o'clock-ish. Treble at 1 o'clock right now. And that's quite sparkly, right? Let's go back to the 15. Back to the 30. So the bright switch is set to the right. Let's put it to the middle setting. And add a little bit more gain on the 30. Back to the 15. 30. Yeah, so once again, mid-humpy, nice and sparkly, fat and scooped sounding. Scooped in a good way, so not in a bad death metal, black metal way, right? 30, 15. So I think in order to get closer, first I have to lower the level a little bit on the 30. I could lower the bass, crank the mids, maybe add a little bit of treble. Back to the 15. Yeah, so the 30 is just like really much louder, right? I have to tame that. And 15. $30. $15. Again, they both sound great, but the tonal differences are still the same, even though I'm tweaking the EQ quite a bit. Like the EQs aren't super drastic. They're just there to shape the tone a little bit, but it's not really going to change the character of the amp, if you know what I mean. So I'm back on the OR30 right now. And keep in mind that the OR30 is much more flexible in terms of how you can tweak the brightness with the bright switch, right? So right now we're on the middle position, which is the most neutral or dark sound. Great for pedals and stuff. If we put it to the left position, it's going to add some sparkle. The less gain you have, the more noticeable it's going to be. And again, to the middle. And now to the right. It's much louder, right? And very bright. So that's great for when you're adding a little bit of grit. I think in comparison to the 15, the middle setting sounds the closest. And back to the 15. So, I thought this was interesting. This is the first comparison that I've done with the KHE switcher. So it's very easy to go back and forth. Balancing out the levels is sort of tricky with this method because you're doing it right on the spot. You know what I mean? But yeah, again, in terms of features, the 15 is way more stripped down. Whereas with the 30, you have the switchable master volume control, the presence control, the bright switch. The 30 is much louder. It sounds much more muscly and thick and scooped. Again, not in a bad way, still has a lot of mids. And the OR15 is a bit more gentle, sounding a bit more tubby, a bit more fuzzy, but it's still a very fun amplifier, which it really has that classic Orange sound because most Orange amplifiers don't have that massive low end, like a rectifier, for example. So I was pleasantly surprised that the OR30 definitely has a lot of that low-end chug and resonance going on. So I really enjoy that on the 30. I would pick the 30 just because it has more tweakability, more oomph, and more heft. But the OR15 is still a wonderful little amplifier. Hopefully this video showed you the tonal differences. If not, feel free to roast me. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And remember, if you want to get an Orange amplifier, use my affiliate links for Tolman or Sweetwater, as that really helps the channel out. I'd really appreciate it. Also, please hit the like and subscribe buttons, as that really helps the channel out as well. And follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Cheers.